On this final weekend of campaigning, Joe Biden left his home base of Delaware for stops in must-win Pennsylvania and upper Midwest swing states. Joining us now from Minneapolis, Senator Amy Klobuchar, a key supporter of the vice president. Senator, a lot of people were surprised on Friday to see not just President Trump, but former Vice President Biden in the state of Minnesota, a state that hasn't voted for a Republican for president in 11 straight elections since Richard Nixon back in 1972. But there's a reason. Let's look at the latest Real Clear Politics average of recent polls. Biden leads the president in Minnesota 48% to 43.3%, pretty close. So the question is, are Minnesota's 10 electoral votes in play?
I don't believe they are, and I was so pleased that Vice President Biden stopped by. He was in Wisconsin, he was in Iowa, he is, as you point out, in Pennsylvania today. He's all over the Midwest, and seriously, Chris, he is ahead of Minnesota in many other polls by double digits. He's ahead in Wisconsin, where I am going today, bravely going as a Vikings fan to Green Bay to meet up with Tammy Baldwin, the senator from Wisconsin. He is ahead in so many states in the Midwest. Why? One, he's leading with manufacturing in a big way and buying America. Two, he has been willing to take on the fact that we are not two separate countries, that we must unite our nation, and that is really important right now in the Midwest, struggling big time with the coronavirus. And the last thing I add, suburban voters in the Midwest. After your debate that you moderated, where he interrupted you over 100 times, he took the stage and said, "Why don't suburban women like me?" Well, I can tell you, as someone that grew up in the suburbs, they don't like the lack of civility.
I asked Corey about voter suppression, but I want to take a look at a case in Minnesota where traditionally the votes have to be received by the election board before the end of election night to be counted. But the state this year made a change and said that if votes are postmarked by Election Day, they can come in as much as 7 days later and still be counted. So by a 2-to-1 vote, a federal appeals court said those votes that don't come in by Election Day are going to be separated and kept separate until a court can rule whether they should be counted or not. That's a pretty dramatic change in the rules. Isn't that a legitimate challenge by the Republicans?
Well, first of all, Chris, the Republicans and the Trump campaign actually agreed to a consent decree where we would do it differently so they could be postmarked by the election because of the pandemic. Then 2 electors went around, Republican electors, and went to the court. We really are focused right now on making sure people can vote, and we're just telling them, don't vote by mail anymore. Take your ballot to a drop-off box. We've got plenty of them in Minnesota. It's not like Texas, where people are still valiantly voting that only have 1 per county. And then show up in person. We have early voting going on all day today, tomorrow, Election Day. So we still feel really good about the voting in Minnesota. We are #1 in the country, nearly every presidential election for voting. So we're positive about it. But it is an example of the kind of attempts we're seeing to cut people out from voting. I think it's wrong.
I want to talk to you about some issues. In the final presidential debate, Joe Biden said that he would, these are his words, transition from the oil industry. And during the Democratic primary debates, when you were running against Joe Biden, during one of them, he said he would eliminate fracking. He's kind of tried to pull back from both of those statements. Here's what the president said this week about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden confirmed his plan to abolish the entire U.S. oil industry. I said, "You mean no more oil, Joe?" "Well, that's what I mean."
Biden says he wants 0 net emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050. Fact is, if you're going to really do all those things that he's talking about, it's going to hurt a lot of people who depend on fossil fuels for jobs.
Well, let me clarify the facts, first of all. He has made very clear that he is not against fracking. He just wants to have safety rules in place. And natural gas is a major
he said, wait a minute.
fuel.
I mean, again, let me just, Senator, let me fact check.
Okay.
He has said he will not allow any new fracking on federal lands.
Okay, that is correct. but we're talking about existing fracking. Secondly, what he's talking about is stopping these oil subsidies and transitioning to renewable fuel to bring down greenhouse gas emissions. Look at the fires raging on the West Coast. Our military predicted this, Chris, that this would happen, and that's what happened this past fall. You look at all the flooding we're seeing, the weird weather events, the increase in hurricanes, the effect that has had on the state of Florida. They're still coming in. And I think that what he is talking about is shared by scientists and by actually our own military, that we need to start tackling this problem. And he's going to do it in a smart way that will eventually add more jobs to America. I think that's what's important. But I did want to get at some of the economic arguments that Corey was making in the segment before I went on. I thought your poll was fascinating from Fox.
But no, okay, I got, you know, thank you.
You're the moderator.
Thank you. Thank you. I sometimes forget that. Beyond the presidential race, the other big election news, of course, is the race for control of the Senate. The current margin, 53-47. You need a net pickup of 4 to control the Senate, or if Biden wins, a net pickup of 3, because then Vice President Kamala Harris would be able to break the tie vote. I want to look, because you have a close race. You're not in it, but a close race in Minnesota. Put it up on the screen. Real Clear Politics rates the Minnesota race between the incumbent Democratic Senator Tina Smith and Republican Congressman Jason Lewis as a toss-up. Quickly, what are the chances that Smith will win, hold on to that seat, and what are the chances the Democrats will take over control of the Senate?
The Smith holding on to the seat, I put at 100%. Poll came out today. She's 9 points ahead. The Senate races, we are ahead in Arizona. We're ahead in Colorado. We are ahead in a number of polls in Maine. We are ahead. The polls go back and forth in Iowa. North Carolina, we're ahead. We are doing well, better than ever expected in states like Georgia, South Carolina, Alaska, you name it. So I am feeling good about the Senate. I can't give you a percentage on that. But remember, I just want to say to your viewers here, if you are sick and tired of a president that has not done what he has said he's done, which is not keep Americans safe when we have coronavirus spiking, pick a guy that's got a plan, that's listening to the science, who's going to do something about it and get the vaccine out in a way that makes sense. This is really the heart and soul of the argument here at the end. Yeah.
Senator, as you said, I'm the moderator, or in this case, the host. Senator, Joe Biden and you ran in the centrist lanes during the primaries, but it's been interesting watching what's happened in the last few days. Elizabeth Warren is indicating that she would like to be Secretary of the Treasury. Bernie Sanders has talked about pushing for Secretary of Labor. Kamala Harris, who would be Vice President, is rated the most liberal member of the Senate. If Joe Biden wins, isn't the left going to come after him really hard after the election?
Chris, right now, Joe Biden is focused on uniting this country, and our party has stayed united. But what I think is really important to realize, he has brought in people like John Kasich, former governor, Republican governor of Ohio, Cindy McCain campaigning for him.
Yeah, but he's not going to be in the, he's not going to be in the cabinet. I'm talking about Elizabeth Warren as Treasury Secretary, or Bernie Sanders as Labor Secretary.
I have no idea who he's going to pick for the cabinet. What I do know is the way he has run this campaign, the way he has said he's going to be the president, not just for the people that vote for him, but the people that vote against him. That's how he's going to govern. He has got so much to do in those first 100 days. And I just think that this election, if it goes down the way we're seeing with him ahead in places like Georgia and some polls in Texas, this is going to be the country saying, enough of the divide, enough of the fighting. We want to go together as Team America, and move forward and win this thing for our country. And that means taking on this virus, shutting down the virus, and opening up our economy. That's what this is about.
Senator Klobuchar, thank you. Thanks for your time this week, and always good to talk with you.